Oh, it looks exactly like that. That's confusing.
All right, so I'll get the prayer file, I think.
You'll find out as soon as someone makes a comment.
Yeah. I'm looking for it.
Oh, it looks exactly.
All right, so. Oh, no, sorry, what did I do? All right. What are we starting with?
Obeisance.
Yep, obeisance to leader, protect them, and do
Sure.
Alter
to decide scriptural texts involving the receive all things, etc.
Whose
Whose understanding
understanding
shines
shines
forth in the sun, and lighted by defilements and traces of ignorance, teaches in 60 ways with the patient love of Father for his own Son.
Oh, teaches
Caught in prisons and sorrow, confused in the darkness of ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering, you, whose dragon thunder proclamation of dawn, arouses us from the stupor of our delusions and frees us from the iron chains of our heart. Whose powerful sword of wisdom views down suffering wherever its grasp. Clearing away the darkness of all ignorance, I entreat your mind to achieve his princely body is adorned with 112 marks of a Buddha who has completed the 10 stages achieving the highest perfection of Bodhisattva, who has been pure from the beginning, Amen, Geshe, all loving one. With the goodness of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness enclosing my mind, enlighten my intelligence and wisdom so that I may gain insight to the Buddha's words and the texts and explain them. Saji toki Jushin metu Chari Vavri Shini Gemani Sangeshi Guru Rana Mandala Kandriyataya Sanje Chalam Sarge Chanam La Chachu Badri Dani Kasuchi Dagi Chushin Persona Trola Panche Sange Propashu Sanje Chalam Sarge Chanam La Chachu Badri Dani Kasuchi Dagi Chushin Persona Trola Panche Sange Propashu Sanje Chalan Sarge Chonam La Chachu Bari Dani Kapsuchi Dagi Chushin Gipe Sonam Trola Panche Sanje Propashu Kanki Tulze Nizune Tawa Kamje Pambi Chun Tenzi Kwadam Kela Changse Lo Cousin something more. Rumbajin that be 10 Saturday. Rumbajin that be 10.
Pressure.
Tadi Tsayutsivaya and Kasa. Rumbajin will have a keys. Nobody jogging Sunday. Rumbajin have a keys. Rumbajin will have it up to carries. This will be lost.
we're going to pick up on the point that we left off in the previous session. So we're covering verses 23 and 24 in Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva of Life in the 3rd chapter, teaching the actual part of embracing bodhicitta. We have been looking at Gyatso Dhammarench's commentary. Let's put it on the screen. So these are the two verses, 23 and 24. It says, I too should generate the amount of enlightenment for the welfare of sentient beings and train step by step in all training. So if you wonder, what is the meaning of training step by step, or in the previous verse, and continued in the gradual trainings of the Bodhisattva, it says with respect to that, the meaning of training gradually. Practices like generosity of one's body should not be done with an impure mind. And train step by step in the training. First of all, taking up the aspiring mind of enlightenment, then training in the engaging mind, performing the deeds of bodhisattvas. All of that is done step by step. So when we think of the generated mind, and you wonder, for what reason do we take up the engaging mind? Well, it's just like when we discussed in the first chapter the benefits of bodhicitta. It is said that all suffering comes from cherishing oneself or grasping at self, while the munis, the state of Buddha, comes from cherishing others. So all problems without acceptance, so all suffering without exception come from seeking my own purpose. So we need to think about it to the point in which it is generated as a true sensation or heartfelt sensation that it is indeed that all my sufferings and problems arise from pursuing my own welfare alone. So when you're able to generate it as a heartfelt sensation, then you start to cherish other sentient beings. And even if for the time being, you cannot cherish sentient beings more than you cherish yourself, even if you cannot discard your own self-cherishing and exchange it for cherishing others, at least the wish to do so, to engage in that practice, will arise in your mind. And this is the point that we want to reach.
다다 깨고 간사는 편지스랑 다 세. 아니 말이죠. 그다 인지 돌다 지진의 로가 인기로. 아니 배우도 된디어스. 아니 가샤를 장 다 세디. 아니 장문 치비 달이야. 아니 남기민 따선 다 지시야. 다 춤마주세. 다디 가샤를 장. 어딘지 개발인 거라서 간지 갑디 아니 동네 말도 다된 되게 총식이 다디 아니 나래 샤니 나 대화 총의 상성 또 신야워 터지니 장나 아니 진징기 상무 티 토니 아니 동네 말도 버텔 때니다 용그레스 어디송가스
As we study this text, this is what we also want to take up in our training. So, as the verse says, all sufferings come from seeking my own welfare or seeking my own purpose. Now, this I that we speak about it, all suffering comes through seeking my own purpose, the purpose that belongs to the I or to the self. That self is sometimes held to be the object of negation. So when you study what the self is, at some point earlier on, there is a statement that says the I, the self, the being, they are synonymous. So all suffering arises from seeking the welfare of the self, seeking my own welfare. So sometimes we hold that self to be the object of negation. The object of negation being a self that exists from its own side. This is what we want to negate. A self, or me, that exists from its own side. Here when we say that all suffering arises from pursuing the purpose of myself, or working in order to accomplish my own welfare, is in thinking that when we think, may I be happy, may I be well, we do that in discarding others or in disregarding others. And all suffering arises from that notion of seeking my own happiness while disregarding others. So the training that we take up in relation to that is to disregard that sense of self-cherishing and to exchange it for an attitude of cherishing others.
제 아니 조비 상기 셴베 셈비 총스 조비 상기 상기 들이야 조비 상기스 조스 라운디게 이게 집 가서가 민트초 아니 동나 겨드 제바 그 같이 아니 차단 모습 시집이다 아니 동나 겨드 제바 용수 세바 조스 라운디스 용수 세바 조 아니 튼초 기위초 아니 용수 타치마 그래서 조바레스 간지 용수 조비 아니 상기티 칼덴 초바레스 라니 셴뱅기 아니 상 자주 센스 되는 초
Well, the state of complete Buddhahood comes from cherishing others. So sometimes we speak of complete Buddhahood, a complete Buddha. The word complete refers to a total elimination of everything that is not conducive with Buddhahood. What is not conducive with Buddhahood is suffering and the causes of suffering, anger, attachment, ignorance. These are not conducive with a state of Buddhahood, and when one becomes a complete Buddha, then all of them are totally eliminated. And also there is a total completion of good qualities. So where does this arise from? It arises from an altruistic intention, the mind of enlightenment.
어디서 더 딘지기 냉가를 때바이나 당간주기 잔주고 샘싱이디 기고 고바디 다 개심부 쉬우지려야 라 먼저 대화 되고요지 동만 되고요 말이 인자 동만 규 탐제로 싸워디 란전들 투데요 대화 after Sunja Tanji, the Yidu Zove Sanji Commandi, and Shenbing assembly in Yuguinza, the dignity and Cosa Jacobus, Lojong said, Darjin Yamji, Lojong was like those, Darjin Yamji, Lojong was lonely, play Koyupe Kazana, Manzu Dardan Shin, Jewias Kiyomaros, Inaya, Louis Tom, any Samu Tamban Tony, and Jesu Yasha Yatama universe. In the Darjin Yamji Logic Jank, Dardan Shin Yamba said, Yunda Rose, they were the Chigurinza, Yambares. The Chigurin in any Shin Kitchen was Zentu Baina, any Janki. The Gibsons over the Telpin Islam, Lo Jones, or the things that the Chanju Sem Kigo, Inji Kigo, and the Tartuna, Rande Yons Zovalaya, and the Chanju Sem, the Ninja to Yavadi, and the Pesures.
So there's a point here that we need to look at. We need to generate bodhicitta. We need to generate the mind of enlightenment. This is so important. We are looking for happiness and we don't want to experience suffering. And the root of our suffering is a self-cherishing attitude. It is a self-cherishing attitude, and the way to eliminate the root of our suffering is to develop the wish to be of benefit to others, which means that we're exchanging self-cherishing with an attitude of cherishing others. And this is what we take up as we train our mind in the practice of equalizing and exchanging self with others, right? So this is an essential point in the practice of equalizing and exchanging self with others. So it's not that self and others can be exchanged on a practical level. What is exchanged is one's orientation mentally, right? So we exchange our mental orientation rather than focusing on ourselves or cherishing ourselves. We develop an attitude of cherishing others. So we, first of all, recognize the equality of all of us in seeking happiness and wishing to avoid suffering. And once we equalize self with others in terms of the recognition of wanting to be happy and not wanting to suffer, then we come to see that others are more important than oneself. And that brings about the pursuit of perfect happiness for the sake of other sentient beings. So we do need to train in bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, to train in compassion in order to develop this attitude of cherishing other sentient beings.
Dinji Nenga Chinki, and Chaju assembly to them, the Dinji assembly gave us some jiki, Dodon Zogrius, not Zogio Maros. In the same year, Tomba Lenchin, Jobal Lokuyanza, the Rimbashan Lokuris, the Rimbashan Lobitan Karislam, the Linema, Lu Jimbaton so, Samba Mata Michins, Kazi Benatachi, Lu Lonjo, Kalaji Jambatangi over in the and somewhat Mata Bakaris, Jean Jinzing, any Konilamatan, Jean Pig, and Ningur Ninja La Soba, and Tam the Mina Sobalaya, Mini, and Pig that you don't do Pashan, Rang Jimbatamania, and the Pendomagis charter warriors.
The commentary says, the meaning of training gradually. Practices like generosity of one's body should not be done with an impure mind. So we here understand what the point is in training in bodhicitta. Simply generating bodhicitta is not going to cut it. It's not enough. It's not enough to attain the perfect welfare and happiness of all sentient beings. We need to generate bodhicitta. Then we need to take upon ourselves the engaging vow. And then we need to train in the deeds of bodhisattvas. That is done gradually. And in order to do that, we need to purify a self-cherishing mind. And this is what the commentary is getting at. Practices like generosity of one's body should not be done with an impure mind of cherishing ourselves. We need to cleanse our mind from this attitude. Otherwise, it becomes a fault. Also, we need not to do to practice generosity, or even as far as generosity of giving away our body, with other attitudes such as seeking fame and reputation, gain and honor, and so forth. None of these motivations should taint our working for the sake of others.
These are the Rambas and some Pitachi, Gundrig Rambada Sungasra, Gu Sambo Yavana, Gu Pusum Sobajavana, Java Sambaji, Toya. These are Gu Matabi Kunilami, Jona, Jevatelia, Maron Wajmoto, Lewaji Womenza, Gu Matavachi Maris, Samba Matavachi Maris. Somebody ranching in Rampi, Kunimanova, and Ninji down, champagne Kunani, that never mentioned Tsultrim to use Chavase, did it, didn't reach Tony, and Limpa Shali, and Chukuba Kanji, and Shenley, Jimbaina, and Sonu Sola, which Zonga and Soba, with Dindi Yunguris, Delia Sunguris.
So this is the meaning of training gradually, step by step. So we create wholesome causes, perfect causes, and they issue forth results. Whereas if the causes that we create are not perfect, they're not pure, they would also produce corresponding results, inappropriate or unwholesome results. So we want to make sure that the causes that we create are not motivated by self-cherishing. Rather than being motivated by cherishing ourselves, the type of motivation that we should carry is of loving kindness and compassion. And if you develop those motivations, then let alone giving away one's body, even just giving a glass of water to another person is a powerful action that brings about the completion of the collections.
Kachiki Domi Sudan Sol. Some mantra or religion to the Chevan. Yan Jusum the Judum which was also Chevan, Sindachi, Sukangi and Shiva Mahinchi, Viteto. Remember Simki, Karnami, Chobal of the Changi, Jusum Chi Nembani, Kazaki Kavala, Tap Chodu Kavila, Q Chilaya, the Kondu, who serves in the Yoga machine, to talk Chilia, the version of Lemon. Chogres Royals, Cheddar Lamb Suson, Pashabatar Lamadani Chamber, Jeromuchi, Chanchu, Laurum Chamber, then drink the Soviet, and it danger no shiver child, the Martu Susu.
Otherwise, it becomes a fault. It should be done when it does not become a fault and rather becomes a great accumulation of merit. Some opponents posit as the meaning of sequential training that one trains sequentially in the three moralities: the morality of restraint, the morality of building up virtue, and the morality of benefiting others according to a boundary. This is incorrect. Others posit the meaning of as having a separate ceremony for the generation of the engaging mind and the engaging vow. This is also incorrect according to any of the great pioneers. To take the engaging mind, after having first taken the wishing mind and then training in the wish to practice the perfections, is the supreme method that accords with the differences in different persons. It is also suitable to take the two minds sequentially in one ceremony. The way of taking them and so forth one can know from the earlier mentioned treatises of great teachers such as Lama Tsongkhapa's great presentation of the states of the path of enlightenment, or his middling exposition of the Lamrim. For that reason, here the author says, I should not elaborate on it here.
that's super juke. Juke song, juke sem. Juke the carchigo and say it. Super juke and me. Rang gawa kombata. Shen gawa to shubo. Ambo rang gawa kombata. Rang turn to bata. Shen turn to go. Ambo rang turn to go the sums. Sem seem to the gawa kombata. Sem the yin bio kombata. Nika the sem you gawa kombo.
Let's look at the next point in our text, beginning with looking at the outline. So we've covered the actual part of chapter number 3. Now we're going to look at the concluding actions. Now there are 2 points in the concluding actions. One of them is cultivating joy oneself. And the second is causing others to develop joy. Now, looking at cultivating joy oneself, there are 3 points: the accomplishments of one's own welfare, the accomplishments of others' welfare. Actually, there are 2 points. Yeah, accomplishing of one's own welfare and accomplishing others' welfare. And then the first point, the accomplishment of one's own welfare, is divided into 3 points: cultivating joy by uplifting the mind, having found that mind, cultivating conscientiousness, and cultivating joy by gaining the mind that is difficult to find.
The tambo sem seem to the gawa components. That lot on them by rather than change sem zone. You can give a chavisher. Sem the zing to those.
First of verse 25 comes out of the heading of cultivating joy by uplifting the mind. So let's look at the verse. After the wise ones took very joyfully the mind of enlightenment to engage and increase, they praised this man like this.
The lot of them by Islam. One ye rubbed tongue god. Ye rubbed tongue. Gashin cruising god. And it's champagne. And it's similar Jubadi. Only loaded the thing some which grace. Some which grace.
When the first line says after the wise ones, referring to those that have developed a clear mind with respect to the training in bodhicitta. They have developed lucidity, clear mind with respect to it. They develop joy and enthusiasm, and with that they've trained the mind. This is the approach of a wise person.
Sem Gechinta and Sem Gillian Ju, and that the give a chavichip, that the only condo payalia. So calculates the rangi semlia and Kasotachi sing to Goris Lavandi and Kasotachi shoot the Masuria and Chegoris that Yakshu did and need them and some Yabush down too soon. Some big Gawa Gombaina and Sem Care shoot it and Cheroris. The G sing to go to
Rejoicing by eulogizing the mind or uplifting the mind. Uplifting the mind or eulogizing it, meaning that we give the mind more and more power. We give it more and more power by reinforcing how good it has done by cultivating the mind of enlightenment.
The lot of them changes by several town God changes in members of the union period. She can give a young number changes, send the give truth, provocation sing to those.
The commentary says after the wise Bodhisattvas have taken the two bodhicittas with very clear, joyful mind and faith, they generate into methods for it to not degenerate and to increase its practice. Towards this end, they generate joy and praise the mind.
That's the listeners. Understand the in Troki Batang, Gavakon Veva, and Kandasha is Lamni, 10 to that same JBUs. That one is something to Vina, T. Sosola, one pento that JBG Yungres, and do that JBUs. Me several labor talk, one Mulamati, turn the temperature. And coach of a chagoris, there is Sanji Risuki Islami, the same the Kebani Chechenita, one in the temple Sanji Chomne Digitachi, one is Jinju Nemach and Kurbaris. Right, Kubatamazeta, one is Sanji Sede, Gas Chanjusem Sede, Higi, and it's Saleh, most modern, and get a gist too much. And if Kudru in that, that one in Gava was rock.
So in what way should we generate joy? We should think, today my life has become fruitful. The human existence was well attained. Today I was born into the Buddha's family. Now I have become a child of the Buddhas. So in generating a sense of joy, delight in so doing, we think that I have done well today. My human existence was well attained. I've done well because I was born today in the family of Buddhas. Now I've become a child of the Buddhas. And even if we haven't attained a Bodhisattva ground so far, still we have done something that accords with us, that is compatible with us. So in that way, we generate joy.
Same case and Tombosum two, 10 dark say, Jebu of Geshe, me civil never toba. Tanjo Teo of Chivo. There is Sanji Risuki Chanjo Samba. Kuro Sanji Gisu Namshi Kiwan. Remember, they Sanji says Takurto Yam Gawa Combos.
The commentary says, if we explain how, today, when I generated the mind and took the vows, my life has become fruitful. My human existence was well attained and the freedoms and endowments become meaningful. Today I was born into the family of the Buddha and became a Bodhisattva. The meditation on joy, thinking, now I have become a child of the Buddhas, relates to the wish, when have I finally become a Bodhisattva?
Then you got sending in Payo companies, sending you send give it some jiki, the Jebu Zogmeza, a D and Luma Yisam, how they be taught that Gyung Chigo and the Payo Gomba said.
The next point in the outline is having found that mind, cultivating conscientiousness for simply generating the mind or finding the mind. Simply generating the mind or finding the mind doesn't mean to say that everything works well. We also need to maintain physical, verbal, and mental conscientiousness.
Dan Dag Chinikan, Dan Dag Chinikan, read the Lesson, the human submission, the Chase. That this song was right.
So, in that vein, the next verse says, number 27. From now on, I shall, as much as possible, engage in actions befitting this lineage. I shall act in a way so as to not dirty this faultless and holy lineage.
And that he said, and it's Susulia, Kaka, Kandaji, near Cheba in the young. And it's our meaning. 아니 전주쌤비 랍자다 망가봐 아니 전주쌤바 나시 지 전주쌤바 통바 나시 지 제니 아니 도리 겹지니 아니 조기야 삼성직 라 디키고 와서라서 como.
So the type of motivation that we should carry in looking at his verse, from now on I shall act as much as possible. So whatever I'm occasioned to meet, I will make sure that I will act in a way that accords with this lineage, engage in actions befitting this lineage. I shall act in a way so as not to dirty, not to sully this faultless and holy lineage.
제 야스 찬주섬 속에 간다스 종키고야 간다스 도리 잡고 총나야 에 아니 토범에 같이 가시 프로젝트니 자 야스 찬주섬 교과로 왔어 나랑서 지 아니 비글이야 강아 용도를 치우는데 용사를 삼 남도 야 샤론이 때 아니 가서 다이 컴지 이 무지 아니 파션 데디 아니 자원이 단에서 뒤치면 삼성지 와 단에서 간지 투느냐 아니 현실로 맞는 삼성 담자된 거 와서레스
So the type of motivation that we should have is determined to work hard, to endure hardships, for making sure that whatever we occasion to meet, we will act in a way that accords with bodhisattvas, with this lineage. So we develop joy and enthusiasm in thinking, I have become a bodhisattva. Sometimes due to our own discursive conceptions, we become worried. We think, if I shall do that, I will experience problems and difficulties. We become discouraged, we shrink from the task. So we should not fall prey to such an attitude. We should make a promise in thinking, whatever I'm occasioned to meet, I will not veer away from the trainings of bodhisattvas. I will act in a way that accords with this lineage.
So any rig gassing let some rules.
When it says engage in actions befitting this lineage, it refers to the lineage of bodhisattvas. I shall act in a way so as not to dirty or sully this faultless and holy lineage.
대통령이 조금 냠나 단다 비치니까 약 상기 기리는 준비 상기를 잘 리던 준비 고순기 레점데 통다 발순도 꿰매지 용된 바시기 gembi 준비 제들라 멤버던 주비 라우저던 개비 니동 녀본 민기비 탐테던 배버 차오스
The commentary says, if it is asked whether this also alone is enough, from now on, I shall engage into actions of the three doors that befit the family of the Buddha. I shall strive in the method in a way that does not sully this holy lineage, which is adorned only by qualities and is faultless in the beginning, middle, and end, with the faults and downfalls of the wishing and engaging in vice.
소번니까 셈이 가와코마네스 딘디치 아니 셈케야 고급디 신니 공부 신도니까 아니 니가와 아니 고급 연아야 아니 고급 레마투비 레마투니 다치 고급 쇼딩이 가주가수서 데티 마이 방아주 고급 여바디야 고급 송투가 송이 비기네 전주 셈이야 이 담에 떠니까 아니 주거티 오늘 전에 가고 네인자 가오공 초그레스, right?
Now, next verse, number 28, comes out of the heading of cultivating joy by gaining the mind that is difficult to find. So we have found this opportunity. We've found the mind that is difficult to find. So we ought to make sure that we do not lose that opportunity, that we do not lose that which is difficult to find. And we do that through taking it up and developing great joy and enthusiasm in so doing.
Repena countries race lounge, long children pombo, that engine but that. Asian chissy, that meaning changes in the dollar case.
And the way it is done is explained in the next verse. Rejoicing because of having created a rare mind, just like a blind person finding a jewel in a heap of rubbish, and generated his mind of enlightenment just by coincidence.
That is better that all chin pombi, long chowder, pombo, that rinching about Teshendo, Chishikar, Yawanki Chanjuki Sang which did Dala given, never sang tools.
It's quite clear. Let's look at the commentary. The mind of enlightenment was born from me by pure chance, just like a poor and destitute blind person finding a jewel on a heap of rubbish by sheer coincidence. It must have been through the force of the Buddhas.
The Shengi turned to Balasum, never Shengi turned to Balasum. Simjin you do not sell Libatan. He you Jabba sell Libatan. Pendant Tata Dumnibo. Tambo Sumjin you do not sell Libana. Drovich down Jambatan. One Jambatan. Nen Jambatan. Chirsibi Duman Jambatan. Covered the Nambi Duman Jumbos.
We've covered a section of rejoicing, generating joy for oneself, or the accomplishment of one's own welfare, cultivating joy oneself. And now we're going to look at accomplishments of others' welfare. That is the second point in cultivating joy oneself. There are three main points in that section. The potential to alleviate the suffering of sentient beings is the first. Then we will look at the potential to dispel the obscurations to causes of sufferings, and finally the potential to accomplish all benefit and bliss. But first thing first, there are 5 points to the potential to alleviate the sufferings of sentient beings, beginning with destroying the lot of death, then destroying poverty, destroying disease, destroying in general the suffering of samsara, and destroying specifically the sufferings of the lower rounds.
Drovi Chidam Jambati, that Dutsu Tawadi Chanjuk Sam, which is the Resura. Drovi Chidam Jamjibi, Dutsu Chogin Dino, said the Dajus at Chanjuk Sam.
So the first point is it can destroy the lot of death. It is also the supreme nectar, supreme elixir, destroying the my greatest lot of death.
Rama Mevan Chivi Drovi, Chidam Jumbo Chivi, Duzing Chogam, Chanchu Gisem Kivan D. Gashi may be Salam Gubichero.
This bodhicitta is also the supreme nectar that destroys the lot of death, through whom my greatest die without freedom, by leading them to the ground free from old age and death.
One jump is Drovi over Seva in Missete and Dino Sondi.
Kantanda Obajomba in the Loimba. So then the next section says it destroys poverty. It is also the inexhaustible treasure that eliminates sentient beings' poverty.
That Chanju Semdi Drogi Ovasem Nugres Lali, Umpon Telea, Sansing Pomba Chitan, and it Chugi Pomba Ni Ingros, Zap, Tanjidingi Pombatan, Chu Pombaslan Dixali. And it Jiding Pombadan, so the Loy Chow Macho, Loy Chow Macho, like Kabashu Chemo Drogoras, Pena, Katsusugi, any Saya Toyagi, Kangan Cheba in a tea, Katsu Kangan Cheba, tea, Tsugi, any Duma Town the Nanchili, Simjay Shanlayachi, any D Togi Shanlaya, and Duma Manjon Sambigi, Lodge Kietubaina, or Digi. And don't know drug over Geshe Gadama is.
When its section explains how it destroys poverty, we can, generally speaking, speak of two types of poverty. There is material poverty or worldly poverty, you could say, and spiritual poverty, poverty in terms of the Dharma. One can also inform the other, or when you look at whether the mind has been generated to a certain degree or not, you can judge it according to the way that you can deal with your own material poverty. If by experiencing hunger or thirst to a certain degree, you can think, may by my hunger or thirst, by my state of poverty, may I be able to liberate other sentient beings from their state of poverty. It is using material poverty in order to enhance your spiritual progress, and that can certainly be done.
That tricky was never did that. No, was Chanju Semiona. The new one Tanigi, choose share Kolon Yanta Chalgas. Choose Yang Kolon Yanta Chalgas. In the Kolon Yanta Giovanna, and choose 60 shabby, Payodi, and Tonsongi, and Revli Cheoyova. And Kolon Yanta Betoni, Chanju Semitoni, and it should set Siganchik Nien to Vania, Tigi, and Sonum Bikuni, Lama Shivat in the Yumudos, and it Rock was the Tesamevaris.
And we can certainly decrease spiritual poverty through generating the mind. So if we have generated the mind, even once we've generated the mind, then we can either listen to the Dharma or we can teach the Dharma. And listening and teaching dispels spiritual poverty, to the point in which through generating the mind, even teaching one verse becomes so big, so powerful, that it exceeds Mount Meru and the whole continents. The amount of merit that you gain by teaching the Dhamma through the generated mind cannot even be expressed.
Somebody ne Jomanis, ne Jomanim, Drewy, Nervish Chibim, Pinch Deans.
Now the third point in that section is it destroys the suffering of destroys sickness. It is also the supreme medicine pacifying my greatest heavy diseases.
Drewy Nelia, and Lug Nasa, the same Nasa Ni Yobadi, Tanganzugi, Nyoy Tograstra, Yanza, and the Nigal, touching Sevig, Tab Chod Givadi, Menda Masuna, Chod Givadi, and Chanju Sembelis, or this Sungoris.
It is clear that we experience both physical and mental illnesses. The best medicine, the most supreme medicine for them is the generated mind.
답변은 내 섭취슈디 샘기 나사디 차르도스로 먼저 지금 미지 버나 아니 류기 나사데 샘기 나사니 체바나 샘기 나사 하장 기페 닝가치 안도스로 샘직 추가이나 아니 가인 지다 메주치 차르도스 류가 나사 가르쳐 봐야 거 아니 류기 아니 자시 양을 써봐 아니 제도고 아니 베제니 직 탑시만 시야도스 샘그 뒤치 차와이나 가 제스키면도스로
And out of the two, the body and mind, the most severe one is mental sickness. It is clear that comparing the physical and mental level, the most serious illness that we have is the one that occurs in the mental level. Because if you become mentally sick to the point in which your mind becomes so disturbed, you're rendered incapable of doing anything about your situation. Whereas with physical sickness, there are still some things that you can do. You get sick and you can apply certain treatment, even as far as applying your body to cutting or removing organs, transplant and so forth. It is clear that the mind up, the pain or the sickness that we experience in the mental level is much more serious than the one that is experienced on the physical level.
그래서 아니 샘긴 내 점버칭 탑초 요디 찬주고 샘. 수 간스나 샘긴 나서 쪼디 란진징 토미 아니 차당 무슨 디 토는 따지 아니 문제가 찬상 강한 찬상 디 토는 연구여라서 그래서 디 피리야 점버칭 맨디 아니 젬빙 삼도디 로제 쳔부지가 봐나 아니 로버스 토고 용수 토고디 점브르고다스 딘자 아니 메인 초 원 차고라스
The supreme treatment, the supreme method to them is the generated mind. It is clear that through cherishing ourselves, afflictive emotions arise, anger, attachment, and ignorance. And because of them, we experience unsought problems and difficulties. The best medicine for them is an altruistic intention. The best treatment is the mind generation that eliminates all inconducive states.
제 진짜 아니 로 가지고 그양보다 야침부여가 디 떡이 아니 류디안 대우용야디 예 배시 야지게 인사레스로.
And when you generate such a mind that is vast and extensive and also quite peaceful, it affects your physical well-being.
시바치 시비 동을 좀 받으스. 셀름 캠션 tumbayi 드여ing 나선 중심.
Let's look at the next point, number 4. It destroys the suffering of existence in general. It is the fruit tree that is a resting place for migrators who wander the paths of existence and are tired.
테테리 땅고니 게지 낭소거나 아니 샘기 위치하고 가서 샘 고양 차바이나 아니 낭소 투그레 마도 아니 가와를 되느냐 아니 샘버 고스토브지 되나 아니 낭소에 가고 싶어서
Thinking about it, you can get a rest if your mind is rested. You can get a break wherever you are, whatever you do, if your mind is rested. Whereas if your mind is not rested, if your mind is exhausted, you would not get a good rest.
sorry. Nothing. Rekashi and Pusto, Jin Dead was and Galaka, the Tangang Sugi Slavji, and Kukyo Jin. Dedavana, Pustor Dredge Moto, Pesci, and Semki Drea Kaburedos Ra.
So really, when you think about it, if you tend to think this is so hard, it is too hard for me to take, and your mind becomes totally entrenched in that way of thinking, it's hard to be happy, isn't it? It's hard to lift yourself up if you if your mind tends to get so closed in thinking it's way too hard for me to take.
Geshe
sometimes fears that when we study a topic like that, Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva of Life, you become uptight and stressed. You become uptight about studying this topic. Actually, when you think about it, it should work in the opposite direction. It should make you more vast and spacious, more at rest.
And the Tolia Katunaji, Tamadua Yong Daddy, Kugi, and Shiten Korang Chan, Yong Badajas, Tingas, some was Tanto and Yong Webach, Yong Sipajira, some Rajikis, some of the Yana, only Kadu Katabaya. Younger drovers at then the young drovers at the
In actual fact, when you think about it, we have this physical support that is the basis for experiencing all the unsolved problems and sufferings that occur. We have everything. We have something that enables all those different states to occur. So when you think about it, when you get sick or when you experience an unwanted situation, you can think, of course I experienced all of those things because I have this physical support that enables that. So why will it not come? Why will it not happen if I have this basis that supports that? So if you think about it like that, Geshe feels that your mind can be more at peace, more relaxed when those situations are encountered.
Injimiji and Samuel and Yogo was Samutan teaching on the legend said the Jebu Kandachi by Lia and Gula Temach Sungoras. Then could be usually ten Chumato, Mintu usually ten, Sauni Yungo Maras. Then how done the chick? Jebu Dunga Gridi any you any Migi related Chungoba. Can round the Shani and so ranky any Migi any Jusabala tenny and a ranky Jibu Dungan Yongobadi and legend gave Kaswata Shontik Dozras, Dixie Dodge, Dichal and the Digi Sam Shombaina and King College Travel, someone would car Shana Yuchi. Any Pusto Chade, tending young groceries, tending young groceries.
The basis for our training is the contemplation of karma, actions, and the result and past and future lifetimes. This is the very foundation for our training. So when we think of the working of karma to begin with, we think of causes and conditions contributing to the results that we experience. So whatever result we experience, it comes from causes. It is produced by compatible causes. It is not produced by causes that are not compatible with it. So when we experience, for example, suffering comes from non-virtues. Not only they're caused by non-virtues, also we think that I have accumulated, I've created those non-virtues and I've accumulated this karma, and therefore I get the result of suffering. So this is the basic rules, guidelines that we work with. Often, rather than thinking of having created those actions, having accumulated those actions that produce suffering and problems for us, we turn our attention to others and try to find reasons for suffering in others. Because of that, we become uptight and distressed.
대전 땅 깨어 토모면 산다 버터 비기 사직 아니 시고는 참는데 아니 나신 되비 까려야 아 가서다지 나수비기 에 댄서 촉도 줘디 아니 장주 셈차게 됐어 베너다지 다른 무야 아니지 캠드링 미지기 뭐나 아니 사도다 지 장도가 소바다 우리용 칼이야 직변한다 정신 비다 직 시사 딘디질이야 아니 직 대사라와이나 에 갑두들이야페 아니 난슈 속으로 왔다라 어디다 드비기 아니 시발이야 깨워 토보면 단다고 참되는기 아니 깨우 나타위기 난소야기 아니 초비기와디 아니 샘게 드레스
We are so exhausted in existence, in rebirth, in cyclic existence, since time without beginning and up until now. And the best resting point for that is the precious mind of enlightenment. It's like walking for a great distance on a hot day, where conditions are quite difficult, and then you see in the distance a tree, and you take rest in the shade, the foot of that tree, and you get a rest for some time. Similarly, the state for us to get a rest in cyclic existence that occurs since time without beginning and wears us out is the precious mind of enlightenment. So we looked at the fourth point in this section. It destroys the suffering of existence in general. The commentary says it is also the fruit tree that provides a cool resting place for the migrators who are wandering on the paths of existence and are tired. Finally, the last point says it destroys specifically the suffering of the lower realms. It is the universal bridge that liberates all migrators from the lower realms.
Kanji Nansu Deni Deva Drawalaya and Drosi Langa Gogras, Nansu Yushan and Shanna Drawandi, and Langa Go Nanshin Devon, Dendro Kiwalaya, and Lam Samba Yakshu di, and Simjan Tamjigi Dedonaya, and some Lokia Til Tagajik, and Sambaji Yomaris. Simjan Tamjigi Tele Sound, any Kiwa Gunchini, Simjing Chidu, Dendrolaya Kiwadi, Lokram Toki, and Kidu Yosaros.
So there is a path that leads to the happiness and well-being of sentient being. And this path is the mind that wishes well to other sentient beings. It is the path from one happy rebirth to the next. It is a path that leads from one good state of rebirth to the next. Through the power of the mind that wishes all sentient beings to be well, to be happy, the power of that mind is the one that will lead you from one good rebirth to the next.
제외 나오는 저 탐지강 그룹의 저걸 집이 지진데 상방향 생겨본 뒤에서
The commentary says, this mind generation is also the universal bridge that liberates all migrators from the lower realms.
단 이거 디규 저버셀리 발니 나오니 디규 ngamdru kishi kyu nyumumba shishi driba sel niba chanchu semdele teni and gyuti nikal sel nibris sel niba ni nyundru seva the shiru seva chebos tambu nyundru seva ni drowi savat losha drowi nyumu dong servi sem gitawa sharwins.
Now next it says that it can eliminate its cause, just looking at the outline, looking at where we are. So we're looking at the accomplishments of others' welfare, and now we're going to look at the potential to dispel obscurations to causes of suffering. There are 2 points here, dispelling afflictive obscurations and dispelling the obscurations to knowledge or cognitive obscurations. Now we're looking at causes for being reborn in the lower realms. What are those causes? Well, there are the 2 sets of obscurations, afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations.
Semkeban di drawing nyumo sardon sevi sem di tawasha indis nyundrum tadan jamli bichero.
Then looking at the second part of verse 31, it says, eliminating afflictive obscurations. It is the moon shining in the mind that eliminates migrators' misery of the afflictions. The mind generation is also the shining moon that eliminates the heat and misery of the afflictions of migrators, i.e., it has the power to eliminate all afflictive obscurations.
Tilda the chanjuk sem digi and nyundrum tada jom nugri soyedi nyundrum ki zu di danzin le shayores ra danzin le shayores danzin mu nyembo di danzin dan zdan osunga nyembo di damen to bisher jemodo chanjuk sem chago mares ra chago mares.
Here it is said that the mind of enlightenment dispels afflictive obscurations. Well, thinking about afflictive obscurations, the main afflictive obscuration is grasping at the self. The actual antidote to grasping at the self needs to be something that is completely contradictory to it in its mode of apprehension. Mind of enlightenment is not directly contradictory to grasping at the self. It is not the actual antidote to grasping at the self.
Tiza tapena nyaran rachambala soba nyente loba tang rangel loba like soge ani rang gichedo tarwi kompan socheli tawato wale part chuzegita danzen pam gichedo ani pe ani kawmambula ya and rangichel ta danzen pam matindi yunguyores.
So thinking about it, like for example, think about here in solitude realize the arhats. Or think about hearers in solitude realize the trainees. What they're working on is to attain the state of liberation, to eliminate the own grasping at the self for their own sake alone.
뒤주 쇼식당 마도 아니 타부터 투요 말했어. 그러니까 뒤주 쇼식당 거다.
And they work on that for many eons. Unless they invest so much effort in so doing, they would not be able to eliminate grasping at the self.
이내 잔주sembo 속에 챙나게 비길이야. 아니 타부터 위치도 맞som냐. 민주법 위치도 맞som냐. 아니 지 내하고 지기 터네. 민주 좀 네버지 연구열했어. 이 가리도 그랬어. 잔주sem 코닉도 그러면 심각하게 말했어.
However, bodhisattvas do not work in order just to attain the state of liberation, just to eliminate their own grasping at the self, and yet they're able to eliminate afflictive obscurations quickly. Easily. Why? In what way can they eliminate it easily? Well, they can do it through bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment.
그래서 민주 점식이 인부 초도 키웠다. 내하고 돈 점토에디 점통인디 잔주sem들이었어. 민주 다들 좀 유세들이었어.
And they can destroy the afflictive obscurations easily through the mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta.
민주 다들 좀 진시하잖아요.
Shall we leave it here for now? Put the prayers on the screen.
There's an issue back with verse 28 about coincidence, and can we deal with that tomorrow, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you ask the question?
It's been going on in chat ever since then. We don't get that anything can happen by coincidence or by chance, as it's said in that verse.
Okay, so this bird is so cute. All right, so the question is about verse 28. Let's look at verse 28. Just like a blind person finding a jewel in a heap of rubbish, I generated this mind of enlightenment just by coincidence. So the question is about the meaning of coincidence. After all, we do not accept that things happen just coincidentally. So what's the deal with that? I reckon that's the question.
And then in the commentary, it says the mind of enlightenment was born from me by pure chance. Same question.
Right. All right. And it also says the mind of enlightenment was born from me by pure chance. Dila tikche nista gela kalagiresana long way chagda pumbale jita rinchen nieba tar deshin jishik tartin ne sashdoa jita jishik tar tenne se di dila hopta khala dende chi kya dende chi jawan mengyo to ne dende chi ko chi len tu gira was dila jawala khala gyores jawala dende chi dawala gira wa jishik tarte ne te tewangi se di
tab lebi wangi slaga tewan se di tab leba shuji wangi
hopta khala ya mena dende ne misiba denda uchi lagi na
je tengan tan kya tomon tanda ba chi koala chamdanda semdi eni chi josho ki kacho dangi nimu kadune chi nimu to so de kacho de sem tindi ji wan so yo na ya eni pe eni chi ni misiba do chi ni yadi eni shuji kawasam botes
so mozo khala gyores na dende misewa de dende lamna digi maresa kansana ngaso gyut khare juna gyutan kenla tene dende chungirwa chesan di yom misiba maresa gyutan ken yona
요 메시고 레슬라고 말했어. 메시고 따우치. 아, 만주 샘 카초당 때바니페 좀 메시고 따우지 레디냐. 종와디페 아니 얌세마도치. 지고레스. 좀 시그마르세 타치고 말했어.
The word that is used in Tibetan might imply that something like that occurs coincidentally, just because it is something that is so difficult, so rare to happen, or so difficult to come by. It does not infer that something just occurs coincidentally in a sense that it doesn't depend upon its corresponding causes and conditions. The word in Tibetan also has that connotation of something occurred due to some positive or wholesome conditions that came about. So we have been under the sway of anger, attachment, and so forth in cyclic existence for a very long time, and we've been predominantly under the influence of those afflictive states of mind, to the point in which it seems that it is almost impossible for the mind of enlightenment to occur. It does not mean that it happens randomly or coincidentally without cause and conditions. It's more like considering the fact that we have been so governed by afflictive states of mind, it is rare to find a situation where the mind of enlightenment could arise. So it is like an impossible situation. It's not impossible, but it is so rare that it is like being impossible. So Geshe is asking, what does Maitreya think about it? What is he asking?
All I have to do is speak, and then she'll probably, no, she's not going to now.
All right.
She's not going to talk. If I say, okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
No, normally when I'm hanging up off the phone is when she likes to have a little scream. She thinks it's her turn.
Does she have anything meaningful to say?
Oh, she thinks so.
All right.
She's just gone very shy and quiet at the moment, which is quite unusual.
Thinking about it.
All right, I'll put the prayers on the screen. Nyododa lama sangye tobile doa chikyam malupa desana gopashu shancho sancho rinpoche make panake gyochi kevanya pame paya gome kondo kawashu kowe shinkanti nandane wa malujoe Shere se wanted to Yatsoi, Shate Site Padu Tenguchi, Shana Shin Jango Yawe, Terenzi Yolewe, Conso Choso Wele Monju, Soju.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when is the International Sangha Day?
24th of July. It's a Friday.
Is it this Friday or no, next Friday? Did I mix it? C'è capita di Lamrin Ginger Shell?
주준이 될 뻔하시는 약수만. 그래서 아니 시험도
So
맞죠.
what's happening with the general program? Should we do it or not do it?
Not sure, Geshe. We have the, remember I mentioned the chanting of the Heart Sutra
Yeah.
for FPMT.
Yeah.
It starts 4:30 a.m. till 4:30 a.m. on the Friday
It
to
starts
Saturday.
4:30 a.m. We'll start something at 4:30 a.m.
It's India time. It's India time, midnight,
It goes for 24 hours.
24 hours.
Or do we start in India? Anyway,
Because Lamas are His
Okay.
Holiness, Lamas are, you know,
Yeah.
we start
all right.
according to the
Doesn't
holy
make
name.
sense. Okay. So now,
당신 4:30 a.m.
yeah. So Geshe said maybe I should do the first.
I'll trade you for.
All right. So the question is, should we do teachings or not?
Yes, so we have, because the schedule was teachings and Shakyamuni Buddha Puja.
So we just have to, I guess.
I'm not sure, I just have to check with Margot whether everything can still coincide. As far as I know, we're
Yeah.
planning that way, but
Okay.
it doesn't mean we're involved for the whole 24 hours apart from the platform. So she's worked something out.
So what we do, like 24 hours with
So
all
we-
FPMT centers.
Yes,
So
yeah, different
other
ones
FPMT
take different
centers.
times.
take-
They're focusing on the Sangha communities
Okay.
or certain people who've been involved in some role with IMI. So yes, there are terms
Okay.
happening around the world.
So we can give others those shifts.
So he's doing 5:30 now and then 6:30 a.m. So we've got the AM covered, so we can still have teachings.
I guess
and
that.
the future, as far as I know.
I mean, if we're broadcasting it, the point is that whether we can.
She's worked, sorry, Margot's worked it out, so we can both, but
Okay.
I'm not sure if that means they need a shot of, I don't think they need a shot of alcohol, but they just need the platform. So it'll go from one place to another place to another place.
Yeah, that's it.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
So she's working it out between whichever one's going to be on Facebook Live and which one's going to be on YouTube. We're still talking technical.
All right.
It sounds like we're good to go. So no problem to have them. No problem to have them.
All right.
So we don't have to all be reciting for 24 hours. It's a rotation. Put your name down.
Okay, I'll do an hour.
You'll do an hour at 10.
I have.
You've got to do for about 40, 50 minutes. And then
Can I do it in Hebrew?